Okay, good. Sorry. We're gonna get started. Okay. Let me know when you're good. You're on. Is it live? Are we live? All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. First of all, I'd like to say that Gimli Film Festival, the Gimli International Film Festival, takes place on Treaty 1 territory and the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, Dene, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. The festival is dedicated to reconciliation and acknowledge that the truths and history of Canada's relationship with its Indigenous peoples is something that the festival aims to provide insight, awareness, and education on with the films that we program and the initiatives that we undertake. I'd like to start by thanking the Hotel Fort Garry for this room and this wonderful lunch that we've for us all here today, and for hosting us. Thank you to everyone for coming out. I'd like to introduce our board of directors. We have over here our president, chair of the board, and founder of the festival, the Honorable Janice Johnson. We have one of our board members, Norma Bailey, famed filmmaker, Lila Goodspeed Everett, a longtime board member, and Lynn Chalmers, a longtime board member as well. Terry, and of course, Terry McLeod over here, another board member. Yes. Give it up to Terry. And then the board members who are not with us today are our Vice Chair, Devin Towers, our Treasurer, Cindy Prokopich, our Secretary, Kendra Towers-Lucier, Michelle Aikenhead, and Joy Lowitt. So I'd like to also give a shout out to our staff who are here. I'm going to just introduce our staff really quickly. Our senior film programmer, David Knipe. Our documentary film programmer, Shira Newman. Our box office coordinator, Riley Livingston. Operations manager, Gary Thompson. Our communications coordinator, Stacia Penner. And our new logistics coordinator, Seraine Diamond. All right. We are very grateful that we can bring the festival back to the community of Gimli this summer and welcome back our many visitors for whom attending the festival has been a long-time summer tradition. It has become Manitoba's premier film festival, bringing film buffs, filmmakers, and industry professionals all together to celebrate on the shores of Lake Winnipeg. The festival will take place in Gimli from Wednesday, July 20th to Sunday, July 24th, and will feature over 70 films from around the world, and many of those films, I'm proud to say, from talented Manitoba filmmakers. So today, we wish to share with you some of our plans for this year's festival. And we will start off by announcing our 2022 lineup of films. Please welcome David Knipe.
Thank you, Alan. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for coming out. Isn't it amazing to be back together in a room in person again? It's so nice to see all your smiling faces. As Alan mentioned, I am the senior film programmer here at the Film Festival. I've been with the festival now for 8 years, and it's such an incredible honor and privilege to be a part of this festival that has such a strong heritage and outstanding reputation around the world of film festivals across Canada and North America. After running a mostly virtual festival for the last couple years, it's with great glee and anticipation that we welcome all of you back fully in person to Manitoba's premier film festival. This year, we are excited to share with our audiences 19 fiction feature films, 9 of which were produced right here in Canada. Unfortunately, our Canadian fiction features programmer, Stephanie Barrington, could not be with us today. She's in Toronto, but I will share with you some of the films that she has selected this year. Winner of Best Motion Picture at the Canadian Screen Awards, Scarborough, is a magnetic realist drama about 3 kids in a low-income neighborhood outside of Toronto who find friendship and community in an unlikely place. It has made major waves at several festivals around the country and will surely be an audience favorite for us here at Gimli. Indigenous representation is strong at the festival this year, with 3 incredible fiction features. Wildhood, wherein Two-Spirit Link and his brother flee their abusive household and rediscover their Mi'kmaq heritage. In Slashback, an exciting sci-fi tale of Indigenous ingenuity and resistance in a tiny Inuk hamlet, and St. Anne, made by local Métis filmmaker Rain Vermette and a crew of Indigenous women. An experimental narrative that is beautiful, progressive, and one of the most heralded films in recent Manitoba film history. Also on the home front, we will be holding a super secret late night screening of a debut Manitoba feature film from Manitoba filmmaker on the Saturday of the festival. We can't tell you what it is, of course, but you definitely won't want to miss this unique opportunity to indulge in classic Winnipeg irony and self-deprecating humor. It's going to be a blast. Wrapping up the Manitoba connections within the feature films is Islands, a quirky Filipino-Canadian comedy featuring actors from right here in Winnipeg. For my part on the international fiction film side of things, this year presented a great challenge, as it always does, in whittling down dozens of excellent and esteemed films from around the world into one final program. It's the hardest part of the job to select just 10 films that carry forth the festival's reputation of bringing world-class cinema to the prairies, but it's also one of the most rewarding. I want to give big thanks, first of all, to our programming committee members who helped us along the way, Stephanie Johnson and Roger Boyer. Big thanks for their feedback and support. Yeah. And of course, all the board members who have pitched in throughout the years with suggestions and expanding the network of contacts that we have in the film world. So thank you so much too. The slate of international fiction films we have on offer this year display a diverse array of subjects, styles, perspectives, and tones. From a wide geographical spread, in the program are films from countries as varied and far apart as Japan, Chad, Finland, India, South Africa, Italy, Sweden, the United States, and Norway, not to mention Iceland. Many of these films are engaging with the uncertain and precarious state of the world today, such as in Small, Slow, But Steady, the story of a Japanese female boxer who overcomes both her hearing disability and the COVID-19 pandemic to go professional. And Freeland, wherein an aging pot farmer struggles with a new economic reality after legalization. Our screening of Small, Slow, But Steady will be the film's Canadian premiere, and we were so lucky and excited to have it. Now more than ever, film must be a rallying cry in support of women's sovereignty over their own bodies and choices. Lingui, The Sacred Bonds, showcases the essential need for access to safe and legal abortion. Small Body and The Worst Person in the World both argue for a woman's right to forge her own path in life, make her own mistakes, free from the strictures and oppressions of a patriarchal conservative society, albeit using vastly different tones and styles. These films are a part of our Future is Ours series, which aims to increase representation for women-identified, trans, and non-binary folks. A big thanks to Original Pictures for their support on this series. Striking a lighter note is Last Film Show, in which a 9-year-old boy from a small village in India discovers the awe-inspiring wonder of cinema and its power to transport, illuminate, and transcend. Fans of Cinema Paradiso take note. Continuing on with the festival's stellar track record of showcasing the best films from circumpolar countries, I am pleased to present here just a couple of the circumpolar films that are sure to impress this year. Girl Picture, which presents a vibrant and nuanced portrait of self-actualizing youth in Finland, and Pleasure, a smart and unflinching rise to power story of a young Swedish woman who moves to LA in pursuit of porn stardom. Content warning for graphic scenes on that one. A big thanks to Claire and Ernest Stephenson for their generosity in supporting our Northern Lights Circumpolar film series. Of course, the Gimli International Film Festival wouldn't be what it is today without the Icelandic roots that got us here. We continue to recognize the incredible filmmaking talents of our sister country with Quake, a bold psychological thriller wherein a mother's buried past and subconscious emerge to cast doubt on her present life. My feature programming colleague, Shira Newman, will be up here shortly to discuss our other Icelandic film, which is a doc. Our audiences are sure to be impressed by the scope of these and all of the other films that we have selected in both their mastery and skill, and will recognize them as a group of the best films released in the last 2 years. After these past 2 years of interfacing with you all and with the festival through a screen, I for one can't wait to get back to Gimli in July and share in the power of cinema together again. Until we can commune under the projector's magical glow in person once more. I will now throw it over to Shira to tell you a little bit more about her documentary films.
Hi, this is I'm Shira Newman, as David mentioned, and this is my first year as the documentary film programmer here at the Gimli Film Festival. I had the honor of being the shorts film programmer last year, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be a part of this incredible festival for a second year. I've been an enormous fan of the festival for a very, very long time. And as David mentioned, the film festival has meant so much to so many Manitoba filmmakers such as myself and film community members and just everybody who's interested in film. So being able to be a part of the festival is an incredible experience. Even though this last year we've been locked away from each other, hidden behind doors and masks and a lot of anxiety and a lot of ideology, the number of absolutely brilliant, beautiful, and compassionate documentaries created over the last 2 years has been absolutely incredible. And I was honored to be able to watch so many of them, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to bring a number of them to you. It is a really difficult thing to choose only 10 films of all of these, when you see all of these incredible stories to represent what is out there, but it is also an incredible honor to try to figure out what would be most interesting to share with the Manitoba film community. We have a large number of Canadian documentaries represented in the Gimli Film Festival this year. We have Geographies of Solitude, which is a particularly favorite film of mine, which is an immersion into the ecosystem of Sable Island, which I had never heard of before. A remote sliver of land in the Northwest Atlantic Ocean, populated by wild horses, thousands and thousands of seals, and one single naturalist named Zoe Lucas, who has lived there largely on her own for 40 years, documenting the island, documenting the ocean waste that's been washing up on the island throughout that period of time, which gives us an incredible insight into the health and well-being of the ocean. And it is just a beautiful portrait also of somebody who is so incredibly connected and passionate about her connection to the land. It's a stunning film. Then we have, from representing Manitoba, Cliff, A Portrait of an Artist, a portrait of of Cliff Island, one of Winnipeg's most successful visual artists, who passed away recently, as many of you likely know. With only months left to live, Eland received a double lung transplant and 5 extra years of life. He called these years an afterlife, and the film explores his beliefs and his art and his passion for living in a really wonderful and special way, and captures those last very fragile, very beautiful moments of his life. So I'm thrilled to be sharing that with you all. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a problem with my computer here. Just give me a moment. Okay. And then representing the Indigenous Canada, we have a film called Returning Home, a really special film about a woman named Phyllis Jack Webstand, who is from British Columbia and is a residential school survivor whose experience inspired the Orange Shirt Day movement, and is currently, and in the film, is on a nationwide education tour. Her family at home is struggling to heal intergenerational wounds while facing the absence of salmon and a multi-year-long moratorium on salmon fishing, which is ripping at the fabric of her community. It shows the ways in which healing people and healing the natural world are really one and the same for herself and her community. Another Canadian film, we've had a large number of Canadian films, is Rojek, which is a film looking at Syria by a Canadian director, in which she interviews numerous ISIS members. It is an incredibly intimate portrait of ISIS members who have been imprisoned in Syria. It's an uncomfortable, brilliant, beautiful, and very shaking portrait of people whose humanity is shared with us in a very complicated way. It's an incredibly powerful film. And then our final Canadian film is My Two Voices, which explores the lives of two Latinx women who share the experiences of being of living in hybrid identities of Canadian, female, Latina, and it's a film that really it shows the artfulness and the capacity to work in a painterly, artistic way to create. How can I explain it? It's a very artful film. It's my first time. Sorry. Thank you. And we have one more Manitoba film as well called Anything Can Happen, which we are sponsoring with Doc Manitoba. It's an award winner from which Doc Manitoba is going to be honoring, which speaks about a mother who has been using cannabis to treat who's a doctor who's been using cannabis to treat her son's serious epilepsy, which is essentially left him in a catatonic state. The cannabis has made it possible for him to fully function and be a part of life, and it explores her struggle to share that with more parents and more kids, and fight against any kind of taboo about the use of cannabis for those kinds of medical reasons. What's that? Where? Did I describe it?
Sounds right.
Okay, great. Oh, we've got our director right here. Also, we'll for the circumpolar aspect of our film, we will have a film called Flee, which is a Academy Award nominee from Denmark that recounts the story of a young man who fled from Afghanistan to Denmark. It's was actually nominated for Academy Awards in both documentary and animation because it is a fully animated documentary. The imagery is incredibly powerful, and it's a beautiful story that shows the complexity of what a circumpolar society is, because he is coming from an Afghani background. And we have a movie called Sam Now, an American film, which is a really compassionate view of a young man named Sam Harkness, as documented by his brother. It's a beautiful and sad family story about Sam, whose mother has disappeared, who's left at kind of randomly and with no one knowing where she's gone. And it's a story about him and his brother going and searching for the mother and exploring some of the emotional fallout of that loss for Sam. It's a really beautiful story that really undermines ideas of toxic masculinity, or no, not undermines, shows the other side of men exploring their emotions together and working together as a family to really heal. Then we have Tentura, an Israeli film that explores the history of a village called Tentura, which was depopulated during the what the Israelis call the War of Independence, and which the Palestinians called the Nakba, or the catastrophe. It's really problematizes history and memory and makes us really pay attention to how subjective experiences of history are and how important it is to break through nationalist conceptions and hear the subjective experiences of people who've gone through said experiences. And then onto the final film, which is our Icelandic representation. We have a really wonderful, fun film called Band, which is described as Icelandic performance art meets Spinal Tap. It's a story about a group of women who are in a band called Post Performance Blues Band, and who've been playing to audiences of 10, 8, 6 people for many, many years, are hitting their 40s, are struggling with what it means to be a female artist in the world, balancing motherhood and caregiving and making an income and trying to make art. And they've decided that they're going to put it all, instead of giving up, they're going to give it one last chance, and they're going to try to have an enormous concert. They rent an enormous space, and they're going to give it 1 year, and they're going to try to make it. And it's a really fun and meaningful film. And that's it. Thank you very much. Oh, right. Do you want me to read? Sorry. Okay, sorry. Right, and I'm also have our shorts filmmaker, who Stephanie Porchik Butler is not able to be here today, but she has sent us a document to read. So I am going to read that. Sorry, just bear with me for one moment.
Do you want us to do the beach films first?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Sherry, but in the meantime, I'm going to introduce Terry McLeod, who's going to announce our wonderful lineup of RBC Sunset screening films.
And these films are absolutely free on the beach. All you need is one of these, a beach blanket. So you could borrow mine if you want. So we'll be spending lots of time on the beach every night at 10 o'clock. The shows start after sunset at 10. Mosquitoes are rare, and the more people that are on the beach, the fewer people get bit, because I was at the Jazz Fest recently where it was packed, and that meant that the mosquitoes had a much larger collection of people to bite, so none of us got bit. But there is a mosquito or two, but you don't have to worry about that. So let me tell you about the films that we have coming up, the 5 of them. Robert Zemeckis' classic film with Tom Hanks called Castaway. And it's an interesting coincidence, I think, or not, I suspect, that it is set on a deserted island with Tom Hanks as the star. It's a remarkable film. It's deep, and it explores, physical and emotional transformation. And it's a great film to watch on the beach under the stars. And we've been familiar with physical and emotional separation over these last couple of years. So Tom Hanks and Zemeckis will have lots to tell us about that. If you haven't seen it, it's a very interesting, meditative, funny film, of course, with Tom Hanks in it. And then on Thursday night, we have Lilo and Stitch, which includes the voice of Winnipegger Kevin McDonald, by the way. And it's an animated film, and it will be, it's about a girl named Lilo who adopts this dog-like creature, Stitch, which she names. And it would be a perfect pet if it wasn't for a genetic experiment that escaped and crash-landed into Earth. It's an animated feature from 2002 with our own Kevin McDonald as one of the voices. We also have the spectacular Mamma Mia, the movie. Now, you know ABBA. I mean, we were all born with ABBA. And you probably know all the words as well. So it's lively and funny, and there's lots of dancing, and there's a mother and a daughter and 3 possible fathers, Pierce Brosnan, Meryl Streep. Great comedic stuff. That's a 2008 film. And the classic Life of Pi, which won 4 Academy Awards, directed by Ang Lee, who also made Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Brokeback Mountain. He is a truly accomplished filmmaker. And by a Canadian writer, excuse me, Yann Martel, captures the beauty and mystery of the book, and it is pretty stunning. I remember reading it thinking, really? That's what's happening in the story? And that's what Pi is? And there's a tiger that he befriends, our protagonist, a fearsome Bengal tiger. And finally, working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, barely getting by, it's all taken and no given. Of course, Dolly Parton wrote that, and she and Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, who are all still performing in their magnificence, is part of a film that has become a major phenomenon around the world. Again, it's one of these things that has entered the culture in a way where we all know what it's about. And it was an early exploration of the unequal treatment of women in the workplace. In fact, we have a documentary, as part of our documentary series, The Future Is Ours, Still Working 9 to 5, delves into the making of the film and how the film speaks to the current issues and working women's rights. So lots of fantastic things on the beach. If you need an extra blanket, just let me know. So see you on the beach. Ontario. Bye.
All right, now I've got our message from Stephanie Porchnick-Butler. Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Porchnick-Butler. I'm the short film programmer here at Gimli International Film Festival. I'm sorry I'm not able to be here today to share the 2022 curated short film programs. Before I begin, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to our screening committee Malet Cuff, Erica Wilson, and Kathleen Gallagher for their time and dedication to watching submissions, as well as the Manitoba Shorts jury, Nikki Little, Leslie Supnet, and Gwen Trotneau for their labor, expertise, and creative insight. This year, we received an astonishing amount of submissions. During the early stages of programming, many of the short films that spoke to myself and the screening committee most deeply had a few common themes. Works exploring time and memory came up over and over. Stories about the past and anxieties about the future jumped out of every turn. Many of the works we responded to captured stories from fascinating subjects or folks sharing tales from their past. Over time, 2 curated programs began to emerge, and I'm thrilled to present them to you today. Both Sides Now features a collection of shorts that investigates time, age, and memory. The program begins with the re-examination of the past and finishes with an exploration of the present and future. Both Sides Now guides the audience through recollections, reflections, and disintegrations, captured with curiosity and care. This program contains flashing images and nudity. Something to Tell You begins with a phone call and ends with a letter. The audience is presented with a collection of short works exploring connection, communication, and storytelling from a variety of perspectives, from call centers to open roads. Something to Tell You is leaning in to share a story. This program contains sensitive subject matter, including discussions of suicide. This year, we received a tremendous number of strong Manitoba submissions. While compiling the final program, the jury observed a thread between many of the selected films. Most of the selected shorts honored the land, soil, and earth, and many explored connections to ancestors and family histories. The Manitoba short films which will be shown are The Road Back to Cowesses, Ori Mi Agbi, Maui, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, Grandmother Tongue, Damned, Shoot Your Shot, Container, To All That We Are, Kokum with Love, When Land and Body Merge. Thank you.
Thank you, Shira. I'm going to talk really briefly about the other events that we have going on this summer. As with every year when we have our beach screenings, we also have some activities on the beach. The RBC Beach Boardwalk this year will be a fun experience for all families. There'll be big games, face painting for kids, free giveaways, family-friendly activities, and more. So don't miss out on checking out the GIFF tent for merchandise and our 50/50 tickets and more. There'll be popcorn available. The Wave Artists group will be there to do different sort of demonstrations on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then on Friday night, we're having a special presentation, a panel discussion with the cast and crew of the hit reality show Ice Vikings, which is set in Gimli. And then on Saturday, we have a special concert series put on by RBC and presented in partnership with Manitoba Arts Network. So there'll be musicians on the RBC truck Saturday night. We have a series of professional development sessions we call the GIFF Global Industry Sessions. And there'll be 5 amazing sessions presented in partnership with Manitoba Film and Music, and those will be for industry professionals. We have our opening night reception as per usual at Johnson Hall, our awards reception on the Saturday night of the festival, as well as our RBC $10,000 Emerging Filmmaker Pitch Competition, which we hold live in Gimli at the Gimli Theatre on Saturday morning of the festival. Then we have 2 special programs, the Young Filmmakers program, which is returning this year, showcasing the best in student films from across the province, and then our Indigenous Filmmakers Association screening, which showcases a collection of films made by that collective of filmmakers. For that particular screening, we have a new sponsor for that, and that's Warner Brothers Discovery. So we're very grateful to them for their sponsorship of that program and the award that goes with that program. Speaking of awards, we have a slew of festival awards as per usual, and I'll just kind of go through a few of the festival awards and then introduce Norma Bailey, who will talk about the Jack Clements Award. Actor Manitoba is sponsoring 2 Best Performances Awards for Manitoba actors. We have the Indigenous Spirit Award, sponsored by APTN. We have the Best Manitoba Director Award, sponsored by the Directors Guild of Manitoba, or Directors Guild of Canada, I'm sorry, Manitoba branch. And we have the Best Manitoba Short Film Jury Prize and the Best Manitoba Audience Choice Award. We have the RBC Pitch Competition winner, as I mentioned before. We have the Best Canadian Short Film Award, and that's sponsored by Blackwatch Entertainment this year. The Best International Short Film Award, the IFA Screening Award, as I mentioned, and Warner Brothers Discovery is also sponsoring another festival-wide award, and that is called the New Voices Award, which will go to a filmmaker from an underrepresented community from the festival. The On the Rise Award is sponsored by IATSE 856, and that goes to an emerging filmmaker selected by our jury. And the Best Best Audience Choice Award, and finally the Grand Jury Prize, and that this year is sponsored by Eagle Vision Productions. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Norma Bailey to announce the Jack Clements Award winner.
I was hoping that, oh, there is one.
There is one.
Of course there is. I'm prepared for everything. Thank you. So the Jack Clements Award is not actually a Gimli Film Festival award. It's an award that we present at the Gimli Film Festival. But it's an award that was created by dear friends of Jack Clements. Jack Clements was a filmmaker who died in 2008, way too early. He came to Manitoba from Saskatchewan, and he fell in love with filmmaking. He actually, the first films that he worked on was my television series called Daughters of the Country, and then he and I worked on the signature. He and I worked on the signature film for IMAX called Heartland. He just was passionate about filmmaking. If you asked him how he was doing, he would say, "I'm living the dream." So after his passing away, his friends and colleagues decided that they would like to do something to honor him. And so we created the Livin' the Dream Award. Each year at the Gimli Film Festival, we present a Manitoba filmmaker with this award. The award represents someone who has contributed greatly to the Manitoba film industry. We've given it to Michael Scott because he was the person who came and created the National Film Board here. Wayne Sheldon received it last year. He, as you know, he created, it's Frank now, but he really had the whole video world that he created in Manitoba. So this year, it gives us great pleasure to give our award to Eagle Vision founder Lisa Meaches. So anyone who's from Manitoba knows how long Lisa has been at it in this province. She is one of really the founding people of the film industry in Manitoba. She focuses largely on Indigenous matters. Her first series that she did was Teepee Tales, which I don't know, I think everybody worked on Teepee Tales. But over the years, her company has grown and matured. She was the producer of Capote. Maybe that was, and that I think Capote sort of launched them into another level. And since then, they've done television series like Burden of Truth. They were very, very involved in the Truth and Reconciliation Committee that went across the country. She did an incredible, one of my favorite films called Elijah. And she also is passionate about mentoring youth, especially Indigenous youth. And for that reason, she's going to be the recipient of the Jack Clements Living the Dream Award this year. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome Janice Johnson to announce the recipient of the ALDA Award.
Hi, thank you. Thank you all for coming, and how exciting it is to be back in Gimli on the ground with our film festival this year. 22 years of the Gimli Film Festival. We're very proud. The ALDA Award is the, ALDA, by the way, is wave in Old Norse. And years ago, it's the signature award given by the Gimli International Film Festival annually. And we award it to an individual whose life and whose work and talents have made an outstanding contribution to filmmaking in Canada and the circumpolar nations. Our committee considers the individual's body of work, their success in the industry, and their impact on the cultural fabric of Canada, and selects a producer, director, writer, or actor for the award. Of note is the ALDA was designed by Ione Thorkelson, an award-winning glass artist from Manitoba. It is a work of art and the festival's highest honor. I wish I had one here today to show you. You'll come to the festival and you can see it as we present it to our recipient this year. Previous winners have included Sturla Gunnarsson, Tantu Cardinal, Guy Madden, Wendy Cruson, Norma Bailey, Fredrik Thor Fredriksson, and Anne Wheeler. I am pleased to announce this year's recipient is British Columbia's documentary filmmaker, Nettie Wild. And it's very interesting that there's so many excellent documentaries this year. It's the first year we've awarded this ALDA to a documentary filmmaker. And Nettie is a very, very incredible documentary filmmaker and the winner of numerous international awards throughout her lengthy career. She pushes the boundaries of documentary with her hard-hitting and captivating work from the jungles of Mexico, revealing the struggle of the Zapatista rebel army to the drug-addicted streets of Vancouver, following the story of the city's and the first legal supervised injection site. Nettie has never shied away from hard topics and has fearlessly thrown herself into the middle of the story in order to capture and shed light on an important issue. She will be attending this year as our guest of honor, presenting Cone Line, Our Land Beautiful, an exploration of the Tahltan First Nations, and will then give a talk about the film. We are looking forward to hosting Nettie at our beautiful Johnson Hall on Saturday, July 23rd, to present her with the ALDA Award. And I'm sure you will really enjoy hearing from her. She's an incredible character and adventurous, just an icon in the documentary making world of Canada. Thank you, and thank you for coming today. It's great to see you all again.
Thank you. One final thing before we wrap up. I'd like to talk a little bit about the last couple of years. And I just realized that at the beginning, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Alan Wong. I'm the executive director of the film festival this year. It's my first year as the executive director, so I'm very proud to be and excited to be sharing with you all this news today. So over the past 2 summers, our festival has been mostly virtual. Hundreds of movies were streamed online, on demand, and watched by thousands of people. This opened up a whole new audience for us, many of whom who have never been to Gimli. And for those new fans of the festival that we were able to reach, we will still have something to offer them this year. GIFF Online will run for 2 weeks, starting the Monday after the festival, July 25th to August 5th, and will feature a small, curated selection of films from the main festival, showcasing the best of GIFF 2022. Now, before we wrap things up, I'd like to just thank our many sponsors and funders. Do we have a funders list, the graphic to show on the screen? Great, we'll leave that up for a little bit while we wrap things up here, but that's really all we have for you today. We are planning to launch our new website with all the updated information that you heard here today by this weekend. So if you follow our